All right, so let's talk about rejection. So I got the number for a therapist, and well, actually, online information for a therapist. So I try and contact the online person, and it turns out that they have a website. So I go to the website, and I look through it a little bit, and excuse me, treat. Um, so I so I looked through the website, and it seems interesting. And they had, this offer for 500 euros. You can get psychological evaluation. It's not fair. They look like lightning plugs, but their butts don't light up. It's still not fair. Windows open, fresh air. So they have for 500 euros. They've got a psychological evaluation that they can do, which is different from doing the online, therapy visits and stuff. And so I'm like, okay, all right, that's actually pretty much what we need, because with a psychological evaluation, we can present that to the court, no problem. And the court can go, oh, maybe it's real. The problem is that, I decided, okay, I'm going to call them. I'm going to, leave a message, because, they were busy, and asking, in French, because I heard that they speak English, that the individual does. And, from there, we can see how it works. And so they called me back, and it turns out their level of English is not as good as my level of French, which complicates things a little bit. But it turns out they have others in the cabinet that might be able to help us. And I explained that, okay, the situation is complicated. It involves the courts, and it involves child endangerment and stuff like that. And it's too difficult for me to explain in French over the phone. Plus, I'd just woken up from a nap, and I'm all hyper excited, which basically means that I'm in a hyper excited panic attack going, I have words. Yes, I do. Where are they? I don't know. So, so I'm trying to figure out, okay, what do I say? And it's like, okay, so I know you have an email address on the website. All right, cool. Can I send you an email with a more in-depth explanation of what's going on, what we need? And she's like, yeah, sure, that'll be great. So it took me several hours to write up what I wanted to say, to have it organized in a way that's easy to go, okay, these are the main bullet points, for lack of a better term. And it's easy to go through and stuff like that. That way, either the individual I was speaking with or anyone else in their cabinet can look it over and go, is this something we can handle? And it was well done out. It was well organized. It didn't go into horrible amounts of details. It wasn't like thousands of words. Okay, I mean, it was thousands of words. But it wasn't like hundreds of thousands of words. Okay, it wasn't 20,000. And so, it was probably the most concise version that I've done thus far. And no, puppy, you're not getting another treat. You gotta wait. You gotta wait. Where's your toy? Where's your toy? There we go. Go find your toy. So, I was actually rather proud of it, but then I have to translate it. So I have to go to the website, copy and paste into 2 sections, because at this point now it only does 3,000 words. Before it did 5. So I had to do it twice. Not too bad. And then I have to, put it back into the email and send that out. Hear back from them about a day and a half later, and rejection. And it's not so much like, okay, I can deal with rejection. It's the type of rejection. Basically, I'm explaining the fact that he's going through an existential crisis. I have words, I can pronounce them. And that yes, there is depression involved, but he's been through child endangerment, and I'm explaining more of what's going on, and it gets dumbed down to depression. Like, I know that depression can lead to suicidal ideation. I get that. I really get that. But this isn't just depression, and it's not even chronic depression. This is coming out of gaslighting. This is coming out of being groomed to be, to be, what's that one word? Pitted against your family. Because my ex was trying to turn him against his brothers. He was trying to turn him against me, trying to, like all kinds of stuff like that. I mean, it was just It was a lot of toxicity. And this is more extreme than just depression. And I had mentioned that, a couple of people had questioned whether or not he's, autistic because of how he communicates. But at the same time, I recognize that, yes, it's a possibility. So what? I also recognize that if he's not getting the mental stimulation and the communication skills from his father, who he lived with the majority of the time, he's going to have crap communication skills. Just kind of, they go hand in hand, which doesn't have to be autism. And, it's also the fact that he has a hard time communicating because of the fact that his emotional side is in English. His intellectual side, how he functions at school and stuff like that, or business or whatever, is more in French. So he's got a divided brain, which I can relate to, considering the fact that I started off in elementary school for age 5 at a normal American school, and then I went for 3 years in a French immersion school where we didn't speak English. You were not allowed to speak English on the playground. So I only spoke English at home, and I didn't learn a lot of the things that you're supposed to learn, like verbs and how to conjugate and how to do all kinds of other things. I learned them from hearing them, but I didn't necessarily learn the English side of that, from school until we were like age 9. We just started touching on it when I left. And so by the time I went back into English schools, my brain had already been formed, and they didn't realize that I didn't have that. And so they didn't play catch up. So I understand having a dual brain in 2 languages and missing parts of it because of it. He's going through the same thing. So of course his communication skills are going to suck, if he doesn't have anyone else to talk to. And especially if the majority of the people that he is talking to are kids his own age who, they're kids, not all kids are the brightest. Yes. It's kind of like talking to a puppy. But some kids are really bright, and he's one of them. And so if he's not getting the educational nutrition, for lack of a better word, he's going to be slow. And so, yes, it's very possible that he's autistic. So what? That doesn't negate the fact that he needs a psychological evaluation to be able to prove this is all real, to tell his truth, to tell his story, so that he can have whatever is best for him, as opposed to having the courts go, oh, well, you're just, saying your words, and he sounds too much like you. It's like, if I'm the only one he's talking to, of course he's going to sound like me. And if I'm the one who's taking his words, what he's saying, and presenting those to the court, well, duh, of course I'm going to sound like him. But I'm the adult, so therefore it's reversed. So, yeah, so basically all she sent me was that, the thing that, it's basically, sounds like depression, or dumbing it down to depression, however she worded it, that we should look at the local CMPA, whatever, letters, children's therapy type stuff, which we've already done, which assumes that we haven't. Oof, assumptions. Do not like those, because it's insulting. It's like, I've been here 15 years. All of my kids have dealt with it. I've dealt with it. Granted, not at the children's one, so different letter acronyms. And it's insulting. And so we've got it dumbed down to depression. We've got going back to the original organization that has proved itself useless for all of my kids. And he's already proved that, he doesn't feel safe with them because he's tried them before. And then we've got the link that she gave for, for autism. It's like, cool. Or you can go back to the original link where you can find more doctors, and it's like, at no point did it touch on the questions I asked specifically for, can you just give me advice on how the system works for doing online medical stuff? Like, what kind of speed do I need? What kind of tech do I need? What do I need? I don't know. I've never done it. And since I don't have Wi-Fi at home, I've only got my phone, I'd have to work out something with the local mairie, the town hall, and see if it's possible that I can do something there, or the local, mission locale, which is kind of like social services, but for teenagers. So they can help get, all kinds. I'm actually surprised no one has suggested he goes to mission locale. They gave him an educator, but they didn't say anything about that. Oh yeah, they're really helping. Or I could go to the local mediatheque, which a mediatheque is basically a library, but for media stuff, and they have events there. The last time we went to an event, it was a David Bowie concert done by a local orchestra, and they had another performance as well with some local teenagers that had been practicing, and they did their own thing as well. So that was really cool. It's just basically a tech version of a community center. So there's always the possibility of going to any of these places, tapping into, their Wi-Fi for valid community reasons, for medical purposes, in which the community is supposed to be available for. And it's like, can I get any information on what I need to ask them, what I need to tell them, or do I just go sounding like an idiot? Right. Keep me ignorant. Dumb it down to depression. Send me back to the people that have already caused problems. Automatically twist it into autism, which people in France don't deal well with autism yet. They're kind of behind on that from everything I've heard from people who are autistic here or who have family members. So it's like, great. Thanks. Back to square one. So I had to process that over the weekend. Plus I got a sinus infection and ear infection, which I'm still dealing with. And I'm still feverish. And so it's like, so I processed through that. But